This is Hanze University of Applied Sciences webinar. Today we're going to talk about studying and working in the Netherlands. I am so happy to welcome Inge, and I hope that you enjoy the webinar. Take it away, Inge.
All right, thank you, Lucy. Hi, everyone. My name is Inge. I am an International Communication Officer at Hanze University of Applied Sciences. And next to that, I am also a Hanze graduate because I graduated 2 years ago from the program in International Communication. So I can actually tell you a little bit about Hanze from these two perspectives, which I hope will be interesting. So today we're going to talk about what studying at Hanze entails. And especially we'll focus on how you can already develop your career while still being a student at Hanze. So if you have any questions while we are presenting, make sure to send them in the chat or in the Q&A section, and we'll be happy to answer them at the end. So without further ado, let's dive in. So we assembled this presentation on frequently asked questions from our prospective international students, so we won't be covering a lot of the basic stuff and won't go into the depth on the different programs, but of course we'll be sharing some interesting facts with you. So our university is actually the oldest university of applied sciences in the Netherlands and is also the largest in the northern part of the country. We cover almost all study domains from arts to communications to engineering, and we also have our own research centers where we do practice-oriented research and centers of expertise. We are a university of applied sciences, which means that we don't only teach you theory, but we also teach you how to do applied research. And we also really focus on teaching you the skills that you need to be able to connect the knowledge that you gain during your studies and bring that into practice later when you want to find a job. Likewise, we also have obligatory internships for all our bachelor's programs. And during these internships, you are really an employee at a company and you have the opportunity to apply what you've learned in class to the workplace and also make meaningful connections for your career later. And in this way, you'll also graduate with work experience and you'll work while still being a student. What's also very interesting to share is that last year in 2019, we were ranked #1 as a comprehensive university of applied sciences in the Netherlands by a national Dutch ranking called Elsevier, which is quite famous in the Netherlands. We're really proud of this because this means that we are evaluated positively not only by our students, but also by experts from the field of education. So of course, we're very happy about that. We are quite a large university of applied sciences. We have around 30,000 students, of which around 10% is international and coming from 115 different countries. And we're very happy about this because we don't just like having so many people from all over the world around, but we also really feel that this really brings an international atmosphere to our education, and this is something that we really value. So let's show you a bit of what our campus looks like. Our campus is located in the northern part of the city. It's called the Zernike campus. It's very modern and green, as you can see. In the spring, students usually like to sit outside next to the fountain or in the picnic tables just to study a bit and chat. We also have a lot of facilities on campus, such as bars and restaurants. We also have sports facilities, such as a beach volley court, for example, where you can play a game in the summer. But we also have a swimming pool inside when it's a bit more rainy, maybe. So you can also take a dive there and just enjoy a swim before or after class. Of course, studying is not only about the university, but also about the environment which you'll be living in during your study abroad. So it's high time that we tell you something about the city of Groningen, where we're located. So Groningen is located in the north of the Netherlands and actually has very good connections also to explore the rest of Europe. So you can easily, we have an airport from which you can fly to different destinations in Europe, but you can also connect easily to the airports of Amsterdam, Eindhoven, and Bremen to explore the rest of Europe. But what's also really popular among our students is to take a weekend trip to, for example, to London or to Paris. I've done this as well when I was still a student. It was a lot of fun, and it's really easy to just hop on a bus and get there and get back before classes start again on Monday. But now let's also talk a little bit about the city of Groningen. We have a population of a bit more than 200,000 people, which sounds maybe a bit small, but for the Netherlands, this is definitely a city because obviously the Netherlands isn't that big. About 1/4 of the population is a student, and that really makes us a student city. We were actually ranked as the best student city in the Netherlands. And this is not only in terms of safety, we're a very safe city with a good quality of water and air, but also definitely because of the facilities that are offered for students. We are really a university city, and we have all kinds of facilities like sports facilities. You can, for example, get a subscription to a sports organization for 60 euros a year. And then you can try out all kinds of different sports. You can think of basketball, you can think of tennis, also unknown sports like trampoline fitness or underwater hockey. You can't even imagine it, and you can do it in Groningen. Even if you're not that sporty, you can join all kinds of associations. We're also a city with a lot of cultural offer. We have a lot of music festivals happening all over the year, a lot of museums that you can enjoy. There's really something for everyone in Groningen, and this is really the place where you can develop your talents, see what you want to do and how you want to grow, and use the city in that way. Just to show you a few pictures. On the left, some of you may have been to Amsterdam. It actually kind of resembles Amsterdam, I would say, with the canals, the historical buildings. I think we have the good size of Amsterdam, like these things, but we don't have the tourists and crowds and the tourist traps. So we're kind of a little Amsterdam, but then better, secretly. On the right side of the screen, you can see the central station of Groningen, which was actually named as the most beautiful station of the Netherlands recently. And from the station, you can connect to any part of the Netherlands very easily because the public transport system is quite good. You see a lot of bikes as well. Of course, we are located in the Netherlands, so biking is very, very popular here. So it's very easy to hop on a bike and get to the other side of the city within 15 to 20 minutes. Of course, if you're not that fond of biking, you can also just take a bus or take a walk along the canals. But as a true Dutchie, I have to recommend you to at least try it for a little bit. On these pictures, you can see one of the main market squares in Groningen. It's called the Vismarkt. On Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday, we have a really nice market here where you can get really cheap groceries, for example, vegetables and fruits. And especially at the end of the day, you can really get a bargain here and get all your stuff for very cheap. And it's just really nice to have a stroll around, meet new people, see new cultures, and it's really nice to be there. As I told you, we have a lot of festivals as well. On the left, you can see a picture of the festival called Noorderzon, which is actually happening in the summer in one of the parks in Groningen, which is really cute as well. And on the right side, you can see one of the other music festivals, which is happening in one of the other squares of the Groningen. As you can see, we have quite a big nightlife as well. Our pubs and bars don't have closing times, which I think is quite unique. But really, the city has something for everyone. So if you're looking for a good place to study, which has good facilities, Groningen is definitely your city. Of course, I can imagine that you also want to unwind a bit after enjoying the city life. So then just jump on your bike, and within 15 minutes, you'll be in this idyllic countryside with meals, with some water to enjoy, and you can just chill and read a book and just enjoy yourself there as well. So basically, if you want to live in a cute city and you want to enjoy the bicycle life, get to know the Dutch, and really experience a vibrant student city, then Groningen is definitely your place to be. We get a lot of questions from students about rankings as well. Though we want to stress that this is not the only thing you should take into consideration when you're deciding on a university to join, it is definitely good to look into it. As I mentioned before, we were ranked as the #1 best University of Applied Sciences in the Netherlands. As so, we are the winner of the best studies ranking, and we won 9 gold medals there. We are also home to top-rated programs, which means that the program is upon the highest in its category. Some of these programs include, for example, the international program in physiotherapy, but also sensor technology, which was already ranked as a top-rated program for 7 consecutive years now. And also something that we score very highly on is entrepreneurship. If you want to become an entrepreneur, you really should go to Hanze, because we rank 1st in the Netherlands and 5th in the world when it comes to the number of companies started by our alumni. So people who graduated from Hanze and then immediately afterwards started their own company. We really have a lot of facilities in place to help you start your own business. I will tell you a little bit more about that later. By the way, you don't have to worry that we will push you to become an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is really part of every program within Hanze, but that's also because we want to teach you entrepreneurial skills. So for example, how you can be innovative, how you can come up with other ideas and other solutions to problems. And this is something that we really stimulate across our students. So let's look a bit into what kind of programs we offer. We have 14 international bachelor's programs, 13 master's, and over 50 exchange programs. These are divided into smaller schools, smaller segments. So you can enjoy the advantages of being in a big university, but you don't have to worry about getting lost in a very big university because you'll be part of a smaller union, basically. I do not have the time to discuss all our programs in depth, so I will just show them quickly. We have different programs in arts, business, communication, engineering, and health as well. The same goes for our master's programs, which basically cover the same domains in arts. We have a big business portfolio in master's, but also communications and engineering. So what can you expect when you study at Hanze? Well, first, of course, for any study abroad experience, you're really going to get out of your comfort zone, because you'll be moving to a different country, a different city where you don't know anyone, and the language that you hear around you sounds like gibberish. You don't have to worry, fortunately, about learning Dutch. We are ranked first, actually, when it comes to the English language proficiency of our inhabitants. So that means that literally everyone you'll encounter on the street, whether it's a child of 6 years old or my grandparents who are 90-something, everyone speaks English. And this is really an advantage because you won't have to learn Dutch. You can, of course, and it makes a really good impression if you do, but it's definitely not something that you need for your studies here. However, what you will notice is that your English skills will definitely improve because you'll be speaking English everywhere. On the streets, in your classes, you really have to learn English. And even if you are not the best English speaker yet, don't worry about that because you will improve so quickly you can't even imagine. Also, something that you maybe have to get used to a little bit is our way of working at Hanze. We work a lot in groups. So instead of being in huge lecture halls with other students, we really offer small-scale education where you work with a class of approximately 25 to 30 other students. And for project work, these classes are actually divided into smaller groups of around 5 people per group. So that means that you'll be in a group of 5 people with people from all over the world, from different countries, different cultures, different ways of working. Maybe these people have a different way of handling deadlines. And that's something that can be quite challenging. Maybe Michaela will tell a little bit more about this later as well. But in the end, it is definitely something that is very rewarding because it's not only a good way to make new friends, but also a way to divide the work according to everyone's specialization and really learn skills such as taking your responsibility and all that kind of things that are also very useful when you want to find a job later. As for our teachers, we basically call everyone by their first name. I always call Chris, for example. And they're very easy to reach, very approachable, and they're not just teachers, but also coaching, and they're very helpful usually. You'll also be appointed an academic advisor at Hanze. This is basically your main contact person, and he or she will be able to provide you guidance, help you with your steps towards your career, and just be there for you during your Hanze journey. So let's talk a little bit about ECTS and the study load and what the curriculum looks like. We work with the ECTS system, which means that every year has 60 ECTS, and one ECTS is approximately 28 hours of study. So you can kind of calculate how much time you'll need to spend on your studies during the year. What is important is that during the first year, you have to obtain at least 48 credits. This is a national law. If you do not earn these 48 credits, you will have to discontinue your education, which means that you cannot continue until the second year. You can start another program, that's all fine, but you have to start from scratch. So this is really something to keep into consideration. The year is divided into 4 blocks. Every block is approximately 7 weeks of lectures and then 1 or 2 weeks of exams. And that means that you'll have 4 exam periods a year, actually, Whereas I think in a lot of universities in other countries, it can also be 2 exam periods a year. For example, when I studied abroad in Spain, I had 1 big exam period a year. I personally like this at Hanze better because it means that you'll have smaller portions to study, which actually makes it a bit easier. But of course, you'll also have 4 exam periods throughout the year, which means more studying maybe. Also, we'll have 2 resits opportunities for every exam. This is really a Dutch thing. We think that failure is not necessarily bad, rather that it helps you to grow as a person and that it's part of the process to learn. So that means if you do not get all your tests right in one go, you have the opportunity to retake that same test twice without any problems whatsoever. Also, we use different kind of methods of examinations. It's not just only exams. You'll also have group presentations, all kinds of individual reports, and you'll have to do reflection papers as well. This is also something very Dutch. And I have to be honest that when I was a student, I didn't like it that much because it gets kind of boring having always to reflect, okay, I did this in a certain way. I tackled this because of that, and this is what I learned from it. This is what reflection papers are about. But in the end, it really helped me in developing my career because during these reflection papers, I really found out what my strengths and weaknesses were, what I wanted to develop myself in, and how I could get there. So in the end, it really helped me, and I really appreciate doing it now. You'll also have an internship, of course, for 1 semester. This is a real work experience, so you won't be getting coffee or standing next to the printer. You're really treated as an employee of that organization, and they also expect you to act as one, to really act as a professional. And here you can really develop all the skills that you've built up so far. And when you come back to Hanze, you really are expected to build on those skills as well when you continue your education. And this is also a really great way to make some connections so that when you want to find a job later, maybe you can use those as well. Every program, whether it's a bachelor's or a master's program, has a graduation project at the end. Usually this is also some kind of internship where you'll be acting as a consultant for a company and you have to, for example, advise them on a research that you are about to do. And in this way, it's just another semester of work experience as well. So that's very valuable for your CV. Also, you'll have 1 semester in every program where you can just go freewheeling. You can do whatever you like during your minor period, which means that you can, for example, if you study communications, you can do a semester of psychology or engineering, but you can also study abroad at one of the many partner universities that we have in Europe, through the Erasmus program, but also all around the world. So that's also something that is really worth experiencing, I think. So now we get to what we said this presentation would be about. How can you develop your career while still being a student at Hanze? We actually call Groningen the city of talent. So let's see how you can develop your talent in your way so that you can actually develop yourself into a professional. So our first recommendation would be to start building your career from day one. So that means that you don't just sit around waiting for opportunities to pass, but you make your own opportunities. So you get connected to other students, to lecturers, to people that you meet in events in the city, for example. Make a LinkedIn profile, get out there. You'll be working on real life projects for real life clients during your classes. So you can also build your network in this kind of way. Also, what is a good opportunity is to volunteer. There's plenty, for example, of events happening around the city that you can volunteer at. And this is really a way in which you can develop yourself in an area, in an expertise that maybe isn't that much related to your program, that you would really like to dive into. And it's a really good way to develop your skills in this way and do something good for the world. And that's something that always looks good on your CV as well. Next to that, we would like to advise you to really use the benefits of the fact that we are a large university and we have a lot to offer. One thing that I want to stress here is also the Honors Talent program, which is an extracurricular program where you can, which you can join. It's really for the most motivated students, and you can enter in a group with students from other programs, and together you will work on interdisciplinary projects. You can design your own projects, and in this way you can also pursue some extra ECTS credits, which always looks good in your diploma as well. So one advice is definitely don't just limit yourself within your program, really use the opportunity to learn more there as well. Also, what's always good is to learn another language, of course. If you would like to stay in the Netherlands after graduating, we would really advise you to learn some Dutch, because obviously you don't need it while studying, but if you really want to find a job, it will definitely come in handy. Some programs have language options included, and for others you can also join our language center, which offers courses in Dutch, but also Spanish, German, French, you name it, and it's there. Also, and this is a personal advice from my side, is that I would really recommend you to use the 2 semesters of internships that you have and the minor period to really think for yourself, okay, where do I want to go after graduating? So for example, I found out through all the reflection papers that I had to write that I was really interested in marketing communications, and that I wanted to work in either the tourism or travel sector or the education sector. So I then decided in the 3rd year when I had to do my internship that I would do my internship at Hanze in the education sector in the Erasmus office, so also a little bit of travel in there. And then for my minor, I went to Spain to develop my language skills. And then for my graduation project, I also did that in Spain in an education-related company. And the fact that I already had 2 semesters of work experience in education really helped me to find my current job at Hanze. So this is really a tip from me, that if you already know where you want to kind of go after graduation, make sure that you use these internships so that you can get there, so that you can already decide your own path and make sure that you get there in the end. And yes, some more opportunities to get some work experience right on campus are Entrance, our Energy Transition Center, and Startup City. I will share a little bit more about that. So this is our Energy Transition Center. It's called Entrance, which was opened by the King actually a few years ago, and he still likes to come back every few years to check out how it's going. This is really a hub for innovation in terms of renewable energy. At Hanze, we're really passionate about sustainability. We really want to make sure that we get to green energy as soon as we can. So we work with students, with researchers, and over 200 partners from all over the province of Groningen, for example, and the northern part of the Netherlands, to really make sure that we have a hub for innovation in this kind of sectors. And if you're interested in sustainability, you'll find more than 200 professional employers maybe here. So really make sure to use that as well if you're interested. And this doesn't only count for engineering students, because we can have the brightest engineers coming up with the greatest solutions and innovations. But if we don't have, for example, someone with a business background that can actually get these innovations to the market, we're not getting anywhere. So this is really for students for different kinds of backgrounds. If you're interested in sustainability, this is really something you can join. And then our Startup City, I already mentioned a little bit about our focus on entrepreneurship. This is really the place, it's a physical place on campus where you can go if you want to start your own company. It's basically your own Silicon Valley on campus. So what you do, you can just knock on their door, sit down with them, have a coffee, explain your business idea, and they will coach you, support you, and help you in just starting your own business. They can connect you, for example, to other students who also want to start their business, maybe from different expertise, so you can do something together. They offer master classes on how to start your own business. You can even get funding possibly, because they organize different kinds of competitions where you can present and pitch your idea and get funding up to 10,000 euros. So this is really the place to be if you want to become an entrepreneur at Hanze. This is really something we could recommend. Then for the last part of my presentation, at least some practical matters about application. If you are a student from the European Union, you can still apply for semester to enroll in September until the 15th of August. However, this does not apply to physiotherapy, as the deadline has already passed, and for the art and music programs, because these have auditions, so make sure to check the website on that. And that also counts for the Master in Renewable Energy. Below you can also find some of the documents that you'll need to provide us with. So just screenshot this slide or check it out later, and then I'll move on. How do you apply? You apply through StudyLink. which is the national Dutch system for applications for universities. So you just create an account. It's very easy and straightforward. Choose your study program there and then submit it. Then you'll get another email from us, and you'll have to hand in the documents that were just listed. And then usually you get your results within 2 weeks. And then you'll get your letter of acceptance, and then you'll know that you'll be welcome to start at our university. So for tuition fees, once again, these are the tuition fees for EU students. I'm not going to name everyone, as you can read perfectly well. However, what I will mention is the opportunities. We don't have scholarships for EU students, but there is a chance that you get study financing from DUO, which is the Dutch government actually, and you can apply for this. It depends on your personal circumstances, whether you're eligible or not to receive this scholarship, but you can still apply and fill in your personal details. And one big requirement is that you need to have a part-time job for at least 56 hours a month. But there's quite a lot of students who have that and who can get some financing, so make sure to look into that. Then for accommodation, in the Netherlands, universities don't have dormitories, they don't own them. Students are responsible themselves for finding accommodation, but of course we do have a housing office and we do help you where possible. We also have a housing partner, which is called SSH. Students who are accepted will receive an email from us with a link, and you can apply for the rooms that they still have available. You choose your room, you pay the deposit, and the prices usually start from around 350 euros a month. You'll get a furnished room. You'll share the facilities like the bathroom and the kitchen with other students, but this is very fun to just live in a student house. The living expenses in Groningen are around 750 a month, of course, a bit depending on how you live, basically, but this includes accommodation. That was my part, basically. Make sure to also check out our social media channels. We are on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and this is all content created by students and for students. For example, on Instagram, we also have a Q&A Friday every Friday. So if you have questions after today, for today, of course, just write them to us and we'll try to answer them. If you have questions after today, for example, send them tomorrow through our Instagram and we'll try to help you there. That was it for the first part. Of course, I'll leave the slide on. If you have any questions after today, make sure to get back with us through WhatsApp, through the number that's written here, or also email our Hanze International Student Team at histeam@org.hanze.nl.
Thank you very much. Let's leave this slide then. And now it's Chris' turn. Thank you very much, Chris, for your participation here today. What can you tell prospective Hanze students?
Okay, thank you so much. Welcome everyone. Very nice that you joined this evening. From a teacher's perspective, I can tell you, and I think also Inge mentioned this before, that I think we have like a very unique atmosphere in class. And as Inge mentioned, there's over around 30,000 students at Hanze University, which may be or may look overwhelming or large. But you will feel very soon at home, because actually you work in pretty small classrooms, pretty small classes, like 25 students on average, and the contact between teachers and students is very informal. There's very direct lines. The students don't hesitate to reach out to teachers, because me and my colleagues make sure that you feel that you don't feel any thresholds to address any questions you have or things that are not clear to you. So that being said, I think from my perspective, that's what really makes it also a very rewarding experience to teach at Hanze, to be a lecturer at Hanze. And what I can also tell you from my perspective is that, as Inge mentioned, Hanze is a university of applied sciences. So that means that we don't want to educate our students to become scientists. We actually want them to teach them also the skills to be able to get a successful career. And for that reason, myself, but also many of my colleagues are not just academics, but we also have like extensive corporate experience. My background is marketing, for instance. I studied marketing myself also abroad, because I studied in Wales in the United Kingdom. And but after that, I for around 20 years I worked in the marketing industry. So when I teach my students about marketing or marketing communication, I can go beyond what's in the textbooks and bring actually many cases from reality into the classroom. And I think this is what students really appreciate. Yeah, for starters, I would say.
Thank you very much. That was Chris' vision as a teacher. And we're so glad to welcome Mihaela. She's going to give her testimonial as a student.
Hello. Thank you. Indeed, I'm a fourth-year international communication student, actually almost graduated. So maybe it's nice to start by saying why I chose Hanze. Indeed, as Chris and Inge already confirmed, it's really a university that focuses on hands-on learning approach to education. And for me, that was very important because as someone who does not study very well only from the book, for me, it was very nice to see that there is a place where I can study by doing. So this is like the primary reason why I chose this university. What else can I say? Indeed, as Inge mentioned, the city of Groningen is a very pleasant place to live as a student. So there is a lot of things that students can do here, and you can start developing yourself as a professional since day one.
Can I ask a question to Michaela and Chris as well?
Great.
Sure.
Okay. So what a lot of our viewers actually don't know is that Michaela is currently graduating, and Chris is not just a teacher, but also her graduation supervisor.
True.
So share some insights. How's she doing?
She's doing very well, actually. I'm really proud of her progress, and there's no doubt whatsoever that she will graduate with flying colors, probably. So she's doing very well, and yeah, I think it's a very informal contact because she can just always send me a WhatsApp if she has a question. So there's not any thresholds or impediments to make the progress she wants to make. And I think that's obviously for Michaela to say. I think this is really very helpful if you can easily reach out to your supervisor. Then I think it's the best because no one would like to wait for a week for an answer on a simple question, maybe.
No, that's absolutely true, indeed. And that represents the overall contact we as students have with the teachers since the very beginning. Somehow Hanze organizes things in such ways that it's not like you're the student and there is the teacher and there is this big distance, but you work together towards progress. And that's very nice because you work together and you have the support. And it gives you a really good feeling of comfort. And for me, it's very important that I have the kind of the freedom in this relationship to like have my own ideas and my own opinions, but at the same time, I have the guidance. So it's like the perfect balance between both.
That's really good as well. And Chris, how do you say, because of course our students, they have to do an internship and then afterwards they come back to Hanze. Do you see like a change in the student after he comes back?
Yeah, usually we do a huge change. It depends a bit on the kind of internship they do, but the thing is, obviously in the first 2 years of their study program, they are at Hanze, so they are at campus and go to university every day and learn theory and do some projects and work with some clients as well. But then they go to the real situation, and it's always interesting for us as teachers to also see, because we actually see the companies where people do their internships, we see them as external educators, because it's not just us that teach our students a lot. Also, they can make huge steps when being in a real life situation for like 5 months or 6 months. So in almost every case, I see my students really changed. They really matured, so to speak. They gained all kinds of experiences. They had to deal with real life setbacks or deadlines or problems, and that's very valuable. That's very valuable. And they can also bring it back to class, because I think as Michaela just mentioned, there's not so much distance between teachers and students, because we kind of consider ourselves as like a learning community. We really think it's not just the teacher telling the student what the world looks like, but it's also students among each others trying to educate each other. So it's very valuable if students come back from internship.
I can imagine. And what would you advise our prospective students who are thinking about coming to Hanze? How would you advise them to build their career, basically? How can they best develop themselves in order to be able to easily find a job later? What would your advice be?
I think it all starts with critically knowing yourself from the beginning and choosing a program that actually fits you. Because I have to be honest, sometimes we also see students who choose a particular program and then it's not for them. It turns out it's not for them. And then if you have a conversation with them about it, they do it because their parents advised them to do this, but it's not really fitting them. So I think the very first step is to critically reflect and look at yourself and see, okay, what is my passion? What is it I would like to do in the future? Then we strongly believe that it's very important to build a network from day one. Because there's opportunities everywhere. I'm totally convinced about that. And since we are applied science, as mentioned before, we have a huge network of companies who work with us. They hire our students for all kinds of projects, or they provide internships. And I really stimulate all my students to, from day one, build your network. So I think, as you mentioned, build a LinkedIn profile, go out there, go talk to people, and stay connected with people you meet. And I can say from experience, from the many people I supervised with either internship or graduation, many people after graduation actually also work with the companies or get like their first job offer from companies where they either graduated or did an internship. And so I think it's a huge benefit over a more academic university where there's hardly internships involved, because then you will have to start building your network after graduation, and now you can actually do it from day one. So you have 4 years of time to, because you will meet many companies, organizations, entrepreneurs, people from outside, research groups. You will, if you're a bit open-minded, you can meet like hundreds of people per year, new people per year. So there must be a link to an opportunity. That would be my advice.
I think that's indeed the main thing. There are so many opportunities offered, but it's really up to the students to grab those opportunities and to make the most of them.
Exactly. No one will ring your doorbell and just offer you something. You have to go out there. So you have to be proactive. That's important.
Exactly. And Michaela, how did you tackle this? How did you develop yourself? What did you do to really build those skills up to the level where you are now?
To be honest, one of the things that really helped me to build myself as a professional are the projects with real companies. The fact that we work from day one with real clients, it helps you build a network. So this is something that I was very skeptical about, because I thought, you know, we are just students, we develop those projects, probably nobody will use them, but it's very satisfying to see how those projects, they come to life sometimes. And of course, that's one way to build a network. Another thing that I started doing at the end of the first year, and it really helped me, was to start volunteering. And you mentioned this in the presentation, and it's really true. Like, volunteering can get you places and can help you meet a lot of people that could help you later on in your professional development. Here in Groningen, I had the chance to volunteer for big organizations such as TEDx and UNICEF, as well as for a couple of like small local organizations. And it's a really valuable experience.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what you did at TEDx and UNICEF, for example?
Yes. For example, for TEDx, I was an event volunteer, which meant that I helped for the organization of the event, more on the practical side, but still I was there backstage. And I had the chance to see, you know, how such a big event is actually organized. And as to the UNICEF, they gave me the chance to be a blog editor for them for about a year. So I got the chance to actually oversee the process of developing and sharing content and tailoring content to different target groups. So it was a very interesting experience, and it's very valuable because I actually stopped working with the organizations more than a year ago, but I still have the contacts there, and yeah, it's a valuable experience.
Yeah, and that's indeed as well, because you study communication and then working in events and indeed creating campaigns for UNICEF. This is really something even added working experience
Yes,
to your CV as well.
Yeah.
So it's really nice. And what do you think about how is living in Groningen treated you?
Quite well, I must say. I had no clue where I was going when I left back home, like 4 years ago almost. And I was really surprised. Maybe it's me, but I was again skeptical, not knowing the language. I was concerned that maybe I won't do well with only speaking English around. But to be honest, it's quite easy to get yourself around and like to find people who are alike, because there are a lot of young people. So when you come here, there are like tons of other people who have the same experience, who have just left home and who have the same feeling of maybe missing it, maybe still adapting. So I was very pleasantly surprised to see that it's so easy to find people who are like-minded. Also, I'm quite proactive, so I have like those different interests in sports, in cultural events. I like to attend music festivals, and the city really has it all. Like, it's not boring whatsoever. You really can find anything you're looking for here in terms of culture, leisure, and also nice spots to study. So all kinds of things that you need as a student, not only to study, but also to have your good time, they're here in the city. You can find them easily.
Awesome. I have one last question for Chris. Of course, we also really, next to just teaching our students the theory, of course, that we want to know, we really want them to teach them skills as well. Can you tell us a little bit more about how we do that?
Yeah, basically it boils down to the fact that kind of 1/3 of our program includes like theories, like research methods or marketing theory or communication theory, or when it's other programs, other theories, of course. 1/3 of the program is kind of skills, so that involves like training, more practical training. So we teach people how to, in my program, I'm a communication program, we teach people all the tools they need to design stuff in Adobe programs. We teach them how to make the perfect presentation. We teach them public speaking. We teach them all kinds of things that are related to communication. And the last, the third of the program is kind of project work. So this is where it all comes together and where people, usually in small groups of 4 to 5 students, have to work on problems brought to them by real clients. And this is where they have to do the research and use the theory to solve like real life problems for that client. And they also obviously also need the skills we train them to be successful in solving the puzzle. Especially the skills part is probably somewhat different from research universities because it gives you more practical tools to also succeed in your professional career after graduation. It will probably, or it's most likely that it will really differ from program to program, but looking at my program and some other programs I know, it's really professional skills for in a business environment or to succeed as a young professional.
Really good. Lucy, back to you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Inge, Chris, and Mihaela. It's been a pleasure to listen to all of you. We will begin with the second part of the webinar then, which is the Q&A section. We have Kata that is answering some of your questions already by writing, but we will pick some to answer by voice. Okay. Remember that you need to submit your questions using the Q&A section. Let's do it. Of course, I will say, Chris, Inge, this is something that the students want to know, but Mihaela, also, you are invited to reel in if you want to, and the same applies for Inge and Chris. If you want to add something to Mihaela's question, it would be great. I wanted to start with a question that we quite often receive, which is about age limits. Are there any restrictions for bachelors and for masters, or do you accept all ages?
For who do you want to answer the question?
You, maybe?
Yeah, we don't have any age restrictions for any of our programs. Whether you want to be a bachelor student or a master student, whether you're 18 or 35 or 40, you are welcome. There's nothing more I can say about that. We really, we actually value having different kinds of backgrounds and students in the classroom. So we really invite everyone to join.
And actually it works in practice, because we have in some classrooms people from indeed 17 and 34, so twice the age, and it works wonderfully. It's really not, and it has never been a problem actually.
And it's never too late to study something, to learn, right?
No, I think you need to learn your whole life actually, because the society is changing, so you need to keep educating yourself anyway.
Perfect. Okay. There was a question, a person before wanted to check the requirements again, Inge. So can we go back to that slide so that our participants takes a screenshot?
Yes.
But don't worry, everyone. We will also send you a follow-up email with all the details. Here are the requirements. Let's move on. I had a question about the International Communication Program, Inge and Chris. Is it suitable for those who want to become journalists?
Chris, do you want to answer this one?
Yeah, I can. It's not a journalism course because it covers all aspects of communication, but there is, and that's the benefit actually of this, of our whole educational setup. There is, people can choose like a minor program, which is like half a year of a very specific field. And obviously because journalism is popular, we also offer a minor program for it, which is called journalism. So students could decide to start a communication program and specialize by doing this minor program for journalism, but they can also do the internship maybe for a news agency or for a TV station or for a newspaper. And they could also graduate at such a company. So it gives a lot of flexibility, so that it's not like a journalism bachelor. You're not a bachelor in journalism, you're a bachelor in international communication. A Bachelor of Arts in International Communication, I must say. But journalism is for sure an opportunity.
Perfect, okay. Let's pick a question about, of course, we have to talk about this, which is the coronavirus situation. When classes begin, are they going to be online? How is it going to be like, Inge?
We can't give 100% certainty yet, because this does not only depend on Hanze, but also on national measures that are being taken. And the situation develops so rapidly that we can't yet say anything about that. I hope we will be able to give some more clarity very soon, but we are looking into different kind of solutions, like maybe indeed starting online in September, maybe starting so that international students can join a bit later, come to Groningen a bit later, maybe starting a few months later. There's multiple solutions being evaluated right now, and we really hope to be able to inform students as soon as possible. I do want to say that a few days after this presentation, you will receive a link in your email, which is to a page with frequently asked questions about the subject of Corona. And this page is updated very frequently. So any new information, you will find it there.
Okay, we have a question about job prospects after studying at Hanze. How can one start a career teaching or lecturing there?
So becoming a teacher at Hanze after having studied at Hanze. To be honest, if you want to be a teacher at Hanze, you need a master's degree. So the student would have to finish a master's degree first. Because the law requires that if you teach at a bachelor's level, you need a master's degree, and if you teach at a master's level, you need a PhD. So that would, in theory, be possible, of course, because but then you would have to finish like a master's degree first. So it could be possible.
Okay. Let's talk about the requirements. I'll take this opportunity that we have the deadlines and documents. We have a participant, Inge, that's asking, does he need to attach the course description of the classes he completed in order to sign up for a master's program?
No, you just need to be able to provide your bachelor's program and have a grade list, for example, and I'm pretty sure that will be sufficient. But if you want to be 100% sure, check the website and also check the website of the master's program that you want to enroll for. Because for some master's programs, indeed, they might ask you, okay, what kind of bachelor did you do? Does it relate to our master's programs, to the content that we offer? And in that case, I can imagine that you will need to provide the course descriptions. So if you want to be completely sure, check the website as well.
Okay. You know, some of the exams have been postponed or even canceled for English proficiency.
Mm-hmm.
What happens in that case? Are you interviewing the applicants? What can they do in order to be accepted without a certificate?
Yeah, right now, we also, because of this situation, of course, a lot of students, indeed prospective students, cannot take their English language, like the IELTS, for example. So in this case, we also accept the TOEFL home edition test, which you can simply take from home. So in this way, you will still be able to provide us with your language proficiency, and you can apply and enroll without any problem.
Perfect. Okay. Keep sending your questions, everyone. We are trying to answer everything by writing and also live here. Natalie is from the European Union, but she also has citizenship in the United States. Should she apply as EU or as US? What's the best income for her?
So if her nationality is American.
She is from the EU. She didn't mention which nationality, but she also has citizenship in the United States.
I think if you have a passport from an EU country, definitely apply in this way, because your tuition fees will be much cheaper than when you need to apply as a non-EU student. So that's definitely a recommendation there.
Okay, perfect. Let's move on. Alexander, for example, says that his last 3 years of schooling are in Malta. Will his status and application be EU or not, since I have a third national country passport and residence permit of Malta? I think this is very specific, Inge.
Yeah, it's better to email this question, because then we can really look into your specific situation and how we can help you with that.
Okay, Alexander.
So, yeah, I will just switch quickly to the email address. If you just send your email here, like within the next few days, we'll be able to help you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, for a master's in architecture, does one need a bachelor, or is a secondary school diploma enough?
No, you definitely, for any master's, you definitely need a bachelor's diploma in a field that is also related to the master's program. So for example, if you want to enroll for architecture, you need to have done also something already related in a bachelor to architecture, because the courses are in a very specialized level. So you need to make sure that you have some kind of background in that, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. We've been talking about the US, the EU. We have Sian, who is from the UK and wants to apply for the painting masters. Of course, everything is unclear about Brexit at the moment, but from what he knows, we are still a part of the EU, yes. And I'm hoping that I can apply as a EU citizen. He has to apply by the end of the year, right?
Yeah, basically that's the advice. If you want to enroll for September, I'm pretty sure you can still enroll as an EU student. after that, we are not sure. It really depends on what comes out of all the Brexit negotiations, and that's something that's not up to us, unfortunately. So let's hope it works out in your favor.
Definitely. Okay, we have Elisenda. I'm doing a higher cycle in audiovisual graphics. She wants to know if she can enter the international communications degree, or does she need a high school diploma to access?
For the bachelor's or the master's in international communication?
Oh, she didn't mention. Let us know, Elisenda.
Yeah.
I'll keep your question here. Okay, let's move on. Bachelor's, she says she was quite quick.
Okay. For the bachelor's in international communication, a high school degree, which is an equivalent to the Dutch HAVO, you can find conversion tables at our website. That is enough to be able to be admittable. So just have your high school degree and your grades and send it to us, and then we should be able to get you enrolled into the program.
Perfect. Let's see. We have a question about housing. Do you have any websites that are more trustworthy? Maybe Mihaela can also rail in on that. What was it like to find accommodation?
To answer the first question, indeed, we have like a very nice list of housing websites that you can use. It's on our website. If you type hanze.nl/housing, you'll find a lot of information there. As to my personal experience with housing, I always say that it's recommended for students to start earlier because it's challenging and it takes time to find a place that actually suits your criteria, budget, is comfortable for you, is in the location that you would like it to be. So I would advise everybody to start as early as possible. It's challenging, but it's not impossible. A lot of people get scared, but it's not impossible. It will be all right. We provide you with the support through the way, so it will be quite all right. Student houses are usually, as Inga said, quite fun. So you get to live with internationals and people who come from all over the world, and you get to make new friends. So it's different experience, especially if you're moving out from your parents' house, but it's a pleasant experience, definitely.
Great. What time does the day start at Hanze? The lectures, are they early? Chris, I see that.
It depends. It really depends. They start, the earliest they start is 8:30 in the morning. And the latest they end is like 6:30 in the beginning of the evening. But to be honest with you, it's not very often that I have to teach at 8:30. 9:30 is more likely, actually, because no one wants to start that early, and also no one wants to end this late. So usually we try to schedule it in a way that it's comfortable for everyone. And what I can also mention is that at least in our program, the students don't need to be available 5 days a week for teaching, because they always have like at least one day without any lectures, so they can study at home or do something else they want to do.
And do they also have autonomy to create their own schedule, or are they given one?
No, they cannot really create their own schedule, because they will be in a class with a group of people, and we have to match like the lecturer, the classroom, and the class, actually. So they cannot they cannot create their own schedule. But that being said, lectures are not mandatory. So if it's really impossible for someone to join a lecture, then he or she can actually skip the lecture, because all our general lectures are also being recorded. So they can easily watch back the lecture later, because they will be put online. So if it's inconvenient at some point for whatever reason, then there's always the opportunity to not come and to watch it online.
Okay, still some doubts about the application. A participant is asking about the recommendation letter. It has a little bit of a remark, right? Inge, can we go through that again? Is a letter needed? From whom?
It depends really per program whether this letter is needed. For example, for some master's programs like the Master's in International Communication, you need that letter of recommendation. For the physiotherapy program, there's a selection process in place. I can imagine you also need a letter of recommendation there. So it really depends per program. So really make sure to check out the website of the program to make sure you find these are like the general requirements, to find the exact list of what you will need to do to apply for that program.
Okay. There are a couple of questions about career after completing the master's studies. Does Hanze help the students in any way getting a job after graduating? Is it easy to find a job nearby in Birmingham? And Chris, what do you think about crossing between being a student and being a professional? What can you advise our participants?
The last part I didn't get. What was the about being a student and a professional? Sorry, what was it you asked?
What is your advice when they are moving from being a student and working? What is the main changes in their lives? What should they pay attention to? Because it's very different going to university and then being in a company, right?
Yeah, the main change in their lives will be that they have to get up early every morning, and then 5 days a week, because this is already an internship. Then students have to show up somewhere 40 hours a week, and they're used to having a few lectures in the afternoon maybe. So this will be the biggest change, and also financially, of course, because instead of paying tuition fee, they will get paid. So that is also a huge change. But on a more serious note, I think Hanze does not like help students find a job, but also our master's program, it's also applied science. So many of the master programs also entail working with companies, working with real clients. So I will go back to my earlier statement about networking. I think if you really invest in expanding your network as soon as possible, and also maintain your network, so stay in touch with people. Most of our graduates actually find jobs quite soon, and also in the field, because they have like practical experience, they have like high quality education, but also practical hands-on experience, which they can demonstrate with their whole portfolio of the past 4 or 5 years. So students who graduated at the University of Applied Science are highly valued in corporate life. I can say that without any hesitation.
Great. Inge, what do you have to say about, finding a job nearby, or do the students usually go to other countries or other regions of the Netherlands?
It depends. Like for international students, we have some that like Groningen that much that they want to stay. There's also a lot of them who defer to the west of the country, for example, Amsterdam, Rotterdam, this region. But we also have some students who liked the study abroad experience, but now prefer to go back to their home country. Everything is fine. It's just whatever you prefer to do. I think, yeah, indeed, there's a growing number of international students who actually want to stay in the Netherlands. And for those, of course, the advice is to learn at least a little bit of Dutch to make sure that you get around, and it makes it easier to actually find a job knowing a little bit of the language. So that would my advice be if you want to stay in the Netherlands afterwards. But it's all up to you where you build your network and where you make your connections and where you want to find a job, basically.
Okay, that was it. Let's leave the contacts again, Inge, for our attendees. So please, if you have any other questions, contact this email address or this phone number. You will also receive an email in the following days. I want to thank Hanze University of Applied Sciences, especially Inge, Chris, and Michaela for their time, for taking this hour of your schedules to talk about the university and the great possibilities there. Any final word of advice for our participants? Should we start with Inge and Chris?
I think for me, I can imagine that a lot of students are dealing with some kind of insecurity related to the corona situation, and that you simply don't know what life will be in a few months' time. I really want to advise you, if you want to join our university in September, make sure that you still go through the application process. We are doing everything we can. We try to be as flexible as possible when it comes to admission, when it comes to evaluating your results. So if you want to join us in September, we would be very happy to welcome you and make sure that you still go through the application process.
Thank you. Grace, do you agree?
I do agree fully. Yeah, same for me. It's very insecure what will happen. No one knows, and no one knows in the Netherlands, but also no one knows in any other country in the world. So just continue with your plans. And one final word of advice is, I mentioned it before, choose your program wisely. So choose something that really fits you as a person, because that will be really rewarding for you. It's very dissatisfying to be in a program that's not for you. So critically think what it is you want to do, and then I would love to see all of you actually join us in Groningen in September. That would be really cool.
Exactly. Michaela, I hope some of these names will be familiar to you next year. Maren, Natalie, Sian, what can you tell our participants as a goodbye?
I would like to say that as a student, as a prospective student, a lot of things might seem scary, like studying in English, being in a foreign country, finding accommodation. All of these things, they're very challenging and they can be scary, and that's okay. It's okay to be concerned, but when you actually start taking the small steps, it's not as bad as it might seem. And we are here for you, and we have units and people designated to support students throughout the process. So please make sure to contact us and to make use of the services we offer. So that's my final advice, I would say.
Thank you. Thanks once again, Inge, Chris, and Michaela. Thanks to Hanze University of Applied Sciences on behalf of DocCity, the community for students. Good luck, everyone. I hope that you will apply very soon. Have a good weekend and see you next time. I hope you have enjoyed this webinar. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. Bye bye, guys.